Alright, so I think the first thing we have to do is set up PuTTY. It's basically the first thing you need to do. So if you've downloaded PuTTY, you will have this screen. And the only thing you really need to do to get into NC State's server is type in your host name, because the port is already correct. It should be 22, and the connection type is SSH. So for your host name, what you'll do is your NC State Unity ID at remote.eos.ncsu.edu. Just click open. You can see here it's prompting me for my NC State password, so enter your password, and it shows that you have gotten into NC State. Now, here is where you have one or two options. You can either go the route of using Expand Drive and writing your code in Notepad++, or you can go the route of writing all of your code within the Linux terminal with a text editor like Vim. Now, I usually use the in-terminal text editor to do all my code, because it saves a step when you're trying to simulate. If you make a change, you don't have to go back through an extra step or two to get your new updated code to the file system on State. So I'll go over Expand Drive real quick, and I guess I've never set it up. That's fine. Alright. Basically works the same as the PuTTY, except the drive type, just leave it as SFTP, and I believe the server, you just do remote.eos.ncsu.edu, username as your Unity ID, password as your Unity password, and it should connect. And you see it basically mounts a drive that is viewable as if it were a drive on your own computer. So it may be a little buggy, but basically this is what is saved in my NC State. I'll show you here. All of this is the same as all of this. So if you want to make a Notepad++ file and write all your code in Notepad++ on your local computer and save it over here in your remote desktop or your remote drive here, it will show up in the Linux terminal. Now, I recommend using Notepad++ over any other local text editor, because Notepad++ not only codes, it color codes your code, so specific headings have the same color. It's easy to write code in. Not only does it do that, but it allows you to save as different file types. And in order to simulate Verilog, you need all of your text to be saved as .v files, and you can't do that, as far as I'm aware, in regular Notepad. So download Notepad++ if you want to go that route. It's pretty straightforward, and you would just save all your files as a .v, and you can drag and drop to and from this this virtual drive that you've mounted through Expand Drive anytime you want. And that's basically one way you can implement your code and start to run it. Like I said, it takes a little bit longer than doing it in the in-text editor within the Linux terminal, but it's no big deal if you want to do it this way. It's easier for some people. Alright, so I'm going to shut that down. I'm just going to show you what we'll be doing inside once you get inside your Linux terminal here in PuTTY. Alright, the first thing you'll do is you need to learn all of the basic Linux commands. So you see, I'm going to teach you basically like assuming that you guys have never even been into a Linux terminal. So the first thing I did was press ls, and that listed all, it's called list subdirectory, and that listed everything that's in that subdirectory that I'm currently in. And anything that you see in blue is a folder, also called another directory. Anything in white is a file, and I'm not sure exactly what pink is, but it's a PNG image, so it may just be any sort of image file. It's not really relevant for what we're going to do in this class. So as you see, I have ECE 406. This is kind of unorganized. I never really organized my terminal very well, but I have ECE 406 right here, and that was my folder when I took the class, and this is a facilitating folder that I made. Anyway, so ls shows you, it lists the subdirectory, all of the contents, and the current directory you're in. If you want to change your directory, say you want to go into ECE 406 folder, you press cd and then the name of the folder. And now if I list, you'll see I'm in a different folder, and this is all the stuff that's in there. If you want to go back, you press cd ... and you're back to where you started. You go up one level. And basically that's essentially all you really need when you're working for this class in Linux. There are some other commands that you may find useful, but and I'll show you a couple of commands to get you into the text editor and that sort of thing, but of course they're like copy commands if you want to copy one file to another location and that sort of thing, but it's not extremely important. Let's see. Alright, I'm just going to open up Internet Explorer because I've got a lot of unnecessary tabs when I open up Chrome. It's not necessary for this tutorial. Alright, so basically I wanted to show you guys where to locate some of these supplemental materials he has, and that'll help you run through this stuff too, because I don't memorize all this stuff from when I took it. But if you go to the ECE 406 website, under supplemental, you can find this Verilog simulation tutorial, and this will run you through setting up and running Verilog code. And I'll go through this here in a second. But if you see, I need to go back into ECE 406, and you'll see that the homework that you guys are currently working on is my homework 2-2.v, homework 2-1.v. For the sake of not giving you my code so that nobody gets caught cheating, I'm not going to actually pull up that code. I'll simulate it, but I'm not going to pull it up. But here's how you make a new .v file. You can make a new folder. By the way, making a new folder is mkdir, make directory, and name it whatever you want. So I'm not going to do that, but that's how you make a new folder. So it'll pull up one of these blue things. Alright, so to make a new file, and you want to save it as a .v, the text editor I use is called Vim, which is VIM, and you do vim space your file name and just go ahead and save it as a .v. So let's see, tutorial.v, and it will open up what is now a text editor. And basically from here you can start writing code. You'll have to you'll notice that down at the bottom it says tutorial.v, new file. It doesn't have insert. You press the letter I once you're in the terminal, and you see insert pops up here down at the bottom. This is saying now you're able to input code or input text into this editor. So you can start writing module and whatever you want to write in here. So on and so forth, and fill it with all of your code, and you can in module. And if for some reason you get out of insert, you just press I to get back into the input mode for this text editor. And to get out of insert mode, so you wanted to save it and quit, to get out is press escape, insert disappears, and you're basically ready to save and get out of the text editor. Down here at the bottom you'll see that this is the total page number, I believe, or the total number of lines that you have written, and this displays what line you're on. So if you ever send code to me or to Ben Hurd to get us to look at a specific issue, and you need to specify what line you were working on, that's the easy way to get that. Alright, so once you've gotten out of the insert mode, you by the way, you press escape to do that. Once you've gotten out of there, you press colon and W, and that saves it. You'll see that it says written at the bottom. If you don't want to save and you want to quit, which I don't advise, for whatever reason it may think that you made a change and you haven't made a change, just go ahead and save it. Using bang quit, we've ran into some problems. If you use :Q is just your regular quit, and you won't be able to :Q if you haven't saved it since a change. It will prompt you to I'll just pull it up again and show you what I mean. So say I just insert some random text, and I say :Q. It says no write since last change, and it says you can add an exclamation mark to override that, and that will override the exit. You'll exit without saving. However, we've ran into some problems with that in the terminal, at least on the on-campus computers. For whatever reason, it did not like when we bang override. So I would advise just going through and making sure you didn't change anything. Go ahead and saving and quitting that way, because it prevents any issues from happening within the terminal. Alright, so also you can press, once you're back in the terminal, you can press up and cycle through all of your last commands and rework any of your last commands that you've done. So it makes going back through commands a little bit faster. Alright, so that is essentially all you need to know about PuTTY, about Expand Drive, all you need to know about Vim, the in-text editor, and I guess really the last thing I need to go